You gotta wait for everyone to come on. I'm just gonna check that we're live. Hello, everyone. We're not gonna play music because Facebook hates that. Facebook,
Mhm.
it tries to delete all my lives because I play music.
I love
On.
it.
Hello, welcome to the core of what matters. I'm just gonna see
Bum,
if we are
bum,
actually
bum.
live.
We are
Open the
live.
hey,
I can
Callum.
see us.
Say hey, brother. Lovely to see you. If you're jumping on this live, I'm with the beautiful Jaye. And we are here at the core of what matters. So please say hello. Give us a wave. Give us some love. I have a really exciting conversation to have today. It's something I'm really passionate about too, Jaye. I just want to
Yeah.
introduce Jaye. So Jaye, I got an itch in my back. Jaye is an emotional intelligence coach, and she's so passionate about this. And I'm really excited about this conversation because I too think that personal development is paramount at the moment.
Mm,
Not at the moment, it's just
always.
paramount.
Yeah.
And so I'm actually wanting to get to the core of this conversation and why self-development, personal development is so important to you. Where does that all come from? What's your history in that? Why you've become a coach, especially an emotional intelligence coach, and what that actually looks like for you. And if you're jumping on, we encourage that you ask questions, that you interact. Jaye is a very intelligent young woman, and she can probably answer any questions that you have. And she's going to talk about her own flavor as well. We talk about flavors, so
We
you know
do.
we all have history. We all have a way that we were brought up, and we've all, especially if you're becoming an entrepreneur, like Jaye and I are both, entrepreneurs. If you're an entrepreneur, you realize that your flavor, and we just spoke about this, your flavor can actually be your superpower because
Mm,
no one else has the same upbringing as you do, and no one else has the same vision as you do. And you use your religion and you call yourself a vessel of God, which I think is really cool. And I want to talk about how, that ties into being your flavor and how that also I know is a driver for you to make the difference that you want to make. So we're going to talk all about that.
cool. How
Um,
exciting.
I'm so excited. So again, if you're watching, please comment, give us a hello, let us know you're there. If you know Jaye, give us some love. If you don't know Jaye, give us some love.
I'll send it back anyway.
Yeah, she'll send some hearts back.
Make some friends.
Yeah, I want to dive straight in, but first I want you to introduce yourself. Who are you? And acknowledging how old you are, where you've come from, how long have you been a coach, all of it. So if you want to give us a rundown.
Yay. Okay. So thank you, Emily, for having me. My name's Jaye Dever. I was actually born Jaye Polycut. And then when I was 17, I changed my name because I wanted a new identity. I didn't want to be held back by pretty much the way I was raised, which also talking about, what's the core of why I do and how I do it. It's actually because of that stuff, which we'll touch into, I'm sure. So I wanted to take control of my life and create who I wanted to be and not be held back by who I should be. So yeah, I was born in Canberra, have a family of four. So I'm one of four. Got my grandparents. Yeah, so an older sister and then two younger half siblings. So I'm currently 21 years old. And I started my coaching on the 5th of December last year. So from there, I've been able to launch a masterclass. I do like fortnightly events. I come on my lives and do Vessel. I've been able to have multiple like one-on-one clients and also group coaching as well. So it's just been, and the networking as well, like it's been so amazing once you step into this community, which, a lot of us here are a part of. The journey and the network and the friends and the experiences that you create, like really just it makes me feel high, if I'm completely honest. Like the opportunities and the passion and the values behind everything that we do is so powerful. So I feel like I found what I was meant to do, which I'm so grateful to do at this age.
I love that. And that's so inspiring in itself. If you're watching and you're like, way beyond your early 20s and you're like, oh, I wish I had that when I was 21. Well, the good thing about this too is that Jaye doesn't just coach young adults. You know, I know that you coach people that are much older than you, and you can make a difference to people when you're young. You know, I am only 27, and I know that for a long time, I had a lot of people around me say, they didn't say it to me, but I had a lot of young adults wanting to make a difference, but they had, you know, this story about themselves that they were too young and it stopped them. And I was like, luckily, I've never been someone who's ever thought that about myself.
Me neither.
Yeah, no,
No.
I haven't. So,
And like, yeah,
inspiring.
it's crazy. Like, you go to all these events and they're like, oh, how old are you? I'm like, I don't even, like, I wouldn't have even said anything unless you said it. I'm like, I don't care.
Exactly.
You know, I'm all about what do you stand for, why are you doing it, and how are you going to get there. That's it.
Absolutely. Why I do point it out though is because it becomes, if you don't like acknowledge it, people get left with, why should I listen to you? Yeah.
Very true.
Knowledge.
I have experience.
You do.
Yeah.
Even though you have your own unique vision, and the moment that you're actually conscious is when you start to develop vision. And well, that's what at least I believe. I believe you start to develop a way that you see the world, and everyone's own projections of the world are very different. And if you're someone lucky enough, or not even lucky enough, I think I say luck because you need to really be able to have an access to expose yourself to self-development. And I know my access was a really good friend of mine who invited me along to some stuff, and I just got interested and started reading books and all that. But if you're lucky enough to be exposed and have an access at a young age, it doesn't matter how old you are because you've already got life experience. So I want to talk about at what point in your life, because we're going to hear a lot about your background, and I'm really excited to hear more about your background. And if you're still on, Callum is one of the blokes that I mentor and who has started an amazing movement for men to be able to get connected and to be able to express themselves in a really safe space. So if Callum, if you're still on, Jaye is someone to be in contact with because I'm all about building this environment where young adults get to really be exposed to conscious awareness. So I'm like all for you guys all connecting. But anyway, I want to know more about your background. Where did this all start? From where was the moment? Because usually there's like an epiphany moment for people where they go, it's either like they get to the rock bottom, or, you know, you're still pretty young, so I don't know if you've been rock bottom. A lot of people have. Or if there was just like this light bulb, or you feel like you were born with it. Like, where did it start for you? What happened?
I've always been really outgoing and just demanding more out of any situation, out of myself, out of an achievement. Like, you know, guys, I'm not necessarily gifted intellectually, but I would always get the like Endeavour Awards for trying really hard, and that was like my prime. I was like, I don't care. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm dyslexic, but I've never been tested. But I'm like, do you know what? Like, I will get these Endeavour Awards. But I was always wanting more out of everything. And when my parents divorced, my family life turned a bit toxic in terms of other relationships that came in. And I just remember sitting, I know my sister, I love her so much. She has been such a big part of my journey because I have seen the way she was affected from our family. And it wasn't very well, unfortunately. So I just remember looking at my older sister and seeing the way that she was interpreting the information, seeing the depression she got into, the anxiety, literally just like all this stuff that was going on. And I was like, I don't want that to happen. I still had hope. I was still happy. I was still bubbly. I was still trying really hard. So I would flourish in school. And then when I'd come home, I just think about wanting to go to school again. I remember I can't remember what happened around the day, but I remember the day. But I started feeling myself going into that. I kind of really don't like being here. like in at home, and straight away I was like, I need a motivational coach. So I Googled it at the age of 16, and that was when I signed up to my very first PD event. So
Wow.
it was,
It was like a free event.
Hey?
It was like a free event online.
No, it was a $500 weekend class. At the age of 16, and also like all these threats of being homeless and we're poor and all these money issues going through court with my family, I was like, well, I don't have $500 because everything that I save is for my future. So I messaged the event organizer and I said, hey, can I come work for you? I don't have the money to pay, but I really want to come. I have no idea what it's about, because all the marketing was towards parents. And he goes, look, you're like the second person to message me on their own accord in like the last 20 years. So yeah, come along, and you know, whatever you can pay, do it. That was Brent Williams, who I'm now currently working with. So he's my mentor, and I've done a full circle. So I guess it was kind of always in me, and I know people act differently, and you know, whether that, as Emilie said, like I'm very religious, so I do believe God blessed me with certain passions and a certain way of looking at life, so I was able to go down this path, and you know, he was the one that lined everything up. But I really was blessed, I guess, in the fact that that was maybe just a personality trait I had, but also, unfortunately, by the sacrifice of those around me, that I could see what I didn't want. And that's what also really was the motivation to take that action, because I'm also a big believer for, you know, we can't fix anyone. We can support them and we can love them, but we can act and inspire them by giving us permission to do what we need to do. And that also gives them permission to follow what they need to do.
Absolutely. And I totally hear what you're saying too, right? I share about this quite often, but in this conversation, growing up, I had an older brother. I have 4 brothers. I have an older brother who's a year older than me, and then I have 3 younger brothers, not much younger than me. So we're all kind of like very close. Growing up, from the age of 13, my brother was suicidal, and he was in and out of rehab, you know, got addicted to different pharmaceuticals out of being in and out of hospital, and you know, all of that was happening, right? And my family suffered because no one felt like they could make a difference. And my mum and dad went through a separation, and there was the suffering inside of that as well. And then my older brother was the motivation for my younger brothers, and they were all athletes. So the moment that my brother started to, you know, really go downhill, the whole family went with him. And you know, I got myself into relationships that I didn't want to be in to distract myself. I started drinking with friends and being away from the house as much as I could, because there was just this real relevant helplessness. And so when I did my self-development about 8 to 10 years ago, when I first did a program as well that had changed my life, what I really got, and I get it more and more, and I get so much more gratitude, and I got that had my brother not have gone through what he went through, as terrible as the suffering was, I really would not have got who I am for the world. And I really would not have seen my gift. You know, you call it God, I call it divinity, divine. I'm very spiritual as well. I wouldn't say I'm religious, but I'm very spiritual. And I think that I was born with a gift to be able to communicate the way that I do. And I believe that, unfortunately, I was put in, and my family and my brother went through this suffering for me to actually have access to that gift. And I also do think as well that individually, people in my family, everyone has a gift. I have just been able to see it in a perspective, and I've been be able to put all this into a perspective that I have now access to it. Whereas I wouldn't say that everybody does that. So I don't, and like you, I don't know if I call that a personality trait, because I'm someone who loves to challenge myself. And I'm someone who always loves to look underneath things. Like, yeah, that's happening on the surface, but what's behind it? And what's behind that? And what's behind that? And what's behind that? And that's no wonder I created to the core of what matters, right?
That's good.
No wonder.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that, Em. Yeah. And
Yeah.
as you said, it's having that access, like,
Mm,
yeah. I think it's
mm,
definitely, yeah, through the suffering, unfortunately, sometimes. But
mm.
that's, sometimes we got to go through that pain to be able to find these things that we wouldn't have otherwise found.
That's it. And I don't know if it's unfortunate because suffering is bound to happen. Like
Mm.
I used to resist it, right? I used to just be like, oh, I want to help the whole world, and I want to, I want everything to just be bliss all the time. If you're watching, I know there's a couple of people there. If you have this as well, the sentiment that you want to abolish suffering, because I used to have that, especially when I first started making a difference and I started to see the world as just actually a different place. And I thought, why can't everybody just have the same view as I do? The world would be so much more peaceful. But I do actually believe that suffering is necessary.
Mm.
Um, and I know you say it's unfortunate, but I don't even know what to call it. But even necessary sounds harsh, that people have to
Yeah.
suffer. Yeah,
If
but
you want to look, I can give you heaps of biblical references about it.
yeah,
I probably won't bore the channel with it, but it wasn't intended. Suffering wasn't intended, but it's through the suffering that, in my sense, God shows his glory, or through the suffering that we're able to access other parts of stuff. So it's necessary in that sense.
mm,
But I'm not saying suffering's amazing, because of course it
no,
sucks. But
yeah,
it is really quite a powerful thing if you look at
yeah,
it from both sides.
absolutely. And so let's talk more about that. So you've grown up, your parents are separated, and clearly there's a lot of like suffering inside of that space for you and your family. And either your mum or your dad left, someone got into a new relationship, is what I'm hearing, and your sister was the most evident one to suffer. That doesn't mean that you didn't as well, because I'm clear that you would have been impacted by that situation. So what do you think? And I mean, we touched a little bit on this, but what do you think the difference was? What did you decide about that circumstance versus your sister that had you now, a 21-year-old, running master classes, creating programs for people around personal development? Why are you the one that picked up the phone and said, I can't afford this, but I want to be at this program? Because what did you see? What did you see that they didn't see?
I'll be honest, if you ask me, tell me about your childhood in detail, I can't.
Yeah.
I've forgotten it, because
Yeah.
I didn't keep myself mentally in that space. I was always looking into the future. I had these big plans, I had these big goals, I wanted to do this, I wanted to do that. So my life was constantly working and progressing. Now, look, there's no right or wrong on that. I'm not going to shame myself. I'm not going to applaud myself, because that was just my coping mechanism.
Yeah. You're always
And
what's next? What's next?
I never actually sat in the situation, because I think if I did, I'd be like, oh my gosh, this sucks. So I never did that. I just kept looking forward, and then I joined the army, and then it was actually through army that I started coaching. It wasn't through my past or through my home life, but obviously everything's interconnected anyway, because it's all me. But yeah, I think that was the difference. Was I was looking at where I wanted to go rather than being defined by my situation, which I think a lot of us do.
Well, I disagree. I think a lot of people look to the future and don't take actions like you have. Yeah.
Well, it's not going to happen if you don't.
Yeah, I know.
Guys.
But that's people out there. This is what sets you apart from the rest. And this is not an egotistical statement, because I'm not someone who's interested in like just fluffing you up, to make you feel good. But it's like literally, this is the difference between you and other people. And this is why you're at where you're at 21, is that you were looking to the future. You were interested in like, what's next, but not just about, this is what I want to create, and then be like, oh, that'd be nice. that'd be nice, but because I came from this family and my parents got separated and it's not going to happen for me because blah, blah, blah. Instead, you went, no, what's next? What's next? What's next? I want to make a difference. And this has happened. Even I'll give an example to everyone. Jaye's in a 12-week program and she's amazing. She's in the army and you wanted to leave the army. And they said to you, no, you can't leave. You have another year. And you went, okay, I'll make that work. Even that's crazy, right?
Well, what else do you
most people would be like, this is fucked. I don't mind swearing, by the way. I'm going to swear on this channel. If anyone gets offended by that, you can message me. But that's really fucked, Why won't they let? And you probably had that internal state going on. But I know that you didn't honor it. Instead, you went, I just have to make it both work. And so you're just in full communication. You're like, I'm not going to make that call because I'll be at work. And instead I'm going to catch up and then I'll do this and I'll do that. It's incredible. I think even Jess calls you this protege. She calls you. Yeah. It's like people don't show up like that, Jaye.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. And that's why I only have extraordinary people on the channel. Because it's like I want the people that are really showing up in life, the people that are like, despite all of the circumstances, despite my background, it's like what matters to me is this, and I'm going to go out and get it, despite everything. So what actually matters to you that you get faced with these circumstances and you go, I'm going to make it work anyway. So what actually matters to you that you would do that?
Two things. The first one.
Great. Two things. Two things are just two.
Right. Again, whether you're religious, whether you think this life is a gift, whether you think this life is a mistake or random or, whatever.
Yeah.
We are alive. If you think about how conception works and everything that the little sperm has to get through, right? Yeah. Birth is a miracle in the first place.
Oh, yeah.
If you think about the odds of us, especially in Australia, especially in Brizzy, which is beautiful, where we are, if you think about how blessed we are in terms of our privileges and the fact that I have a house over my head right now and I can talk to you over a computer, it is. I look forward in life and I'm like, oh, I want to do that. But I'm genuinely excited because it blows my mind. I am in constant awe of the world around me because we are so blessed and it's just so amazing how everything works. And the fact that, that this holds water, like how, do you know what I mean? And this sounds really stupid. And I guess people call it gratitude. I don't call it gratitude. I don't actually sit down in the mornings and think about gratitude. I don't do that. But I'm genuinely excited that I'm alive because I think that is such a blessing. And I think with that, we have the ability and we have the power to take action and to actually transform that into something meaningful and to impact others and to communicate with people and to make something of ourselves. Absolutely. So that's the first one.
I actually do have something to summarize what that is, by the way.
Go for it.
I'm not someone who wakes up and does a journal of gratitude as well. I just don't work like that. I do have morning rituals, things that I try and create so that my day is set up. But what I call it being present to the miracle. And life is an opportunity. And you and I know you and I have this in common because when we hang out, we're like, oh my God, look at that, isn't it? And most people might not even notice these things, but you and I are in, a service station. And we're like, especially you, we're in a service station and we're actually just enjoying, oh my God, look at all these little things that are on offer. It's crazy. We enjoy the small.
When I leave the army, I'm not even kidding. I want to work at Boost Juice or a 7-Eleven.
She does.
Because I do. Because I think that's so much fun and everything you ever need is in a
She'll be a coach part-time because she wants to work at Boost Juice. It is a fun environment, but that's it. It's the environment and life is an opportunity and being present in the miracle of life. And I think that's something that you tapped into. That's a really big thing. That's so relevant
Yeah.
And it really does. It's no wonder you can just get over these things that are usually huge obstacles for people are very minute for you. You like flick them away and you're like, what's next?
They're impactful, don't get me wrong. But again, with that, it's, as we are talking about earlier, they're opportunities to, one, form a part of your story, but also give you experience and learnings that you wouldn't otherwise have. So, even though something might suck, if you look into the future and say, okay, what do I want out of this? How can I get there? How can I get excited? But also, what did I just learn? And how can I add that to a part of who I am? And how can I own that?
Yes, hands down. Absolutely. Yeah. And so we're running on to the second one. I just want to acknowledge, hey, Kel, how are you doing? Thanks for watching. I just want to acknowledge it's okay, by the way, that no one's commenting. If people are jumping on and jumping off, I'm totally okay with that. And I know that Jaye and I can just talk for hours as it is. Now, we do encourage interaction because these conversations are important, and if you're sitting there and you're like, I don't take these people seriously, like, what are they? They're women, they're young. I don't know what people might be thinking, if that's in the space. If it's not, great. But these conversations are about getting to the core of what matters to us. And, Jaye's on sharing the core of what matters to her because it's fucking inspiring. And if you're someone who can sit and listen to that, and if you're someone who's watching and you're like, wow, that is inspiring, it's like, start to get present to, who you are in the world. It doesn't matter what age you are, it doesn't matter what sex you are, it doesn't matter what you believe in, what your religion is. It matters that your vision and your view of the world and the impact that you want to make, it actually happens before you die. And that you're living it every day. So in saying that, I've said what I want to say now. Number 2. What's the second
Number
thing?
2, ownership of your life.
Yeah.
And you led into that perfectly. Great segue. We're gonna die, guys. And I suppressed that acknowledgement for like years and years. It wasn't until at the beginning of last year I was hanging around. Hanging around a friendship group, and all this chick would talk about was death, because she was so impacted by death in her family and her friends and everything. Like, she just had constant impact of that. And that's all she'd talk about. And I was horrified. But that was what motivated her. And that was like, I'm going to die. I got to make the most out of my life. So I personally don't live in that mindset every day, but acknowledging, hey, we are going to die. So therefore, this is my life. Am I going to be a product of crap that's happened? And am I going to play a victim? And am I going to let people, put their opinions and their boundaries on me? And am I just going to sit there, or am I going to actually create something for myself?
Absolutely.
So, as I said, people can be a victim of a situation, and I've seen that happen a lot as well, and there's definitely different areas around that. People do need some help sometimes, and some things are really hard, but ultimately, and there's a lot of sensitivity as well when I'm saying this, but regardless, it's still your life.
So
I really just want to make that present, and I know that sometimes it is really hard, and yes, you need a lot of help. And I had a lot of help. I got myself a coach at the age of, how old was I? 17, I think. 18, 17. Yeah. And I messaged her. This was when I became a coach. I messaged her. Her name's Elizabeth Walker, and I said, I'm so sorry. When you were coaching me, I was in such a bad space, and I was desperate. And I see now, coming from how I've matured, just how tough that would have been for you. And all she said was, babe, that's what I'm here for. That's what coach. And that's the thing. It is hard, but if you're willing to, it is hard, but ultimately it's through that resistance, like, it's still your life. I'm not saying this is an easy process, but I'm saying you can either stay there and be a victim to that, or you can do the work, you can do the personal development, you can go through more crap, but then come out the other end owning it and
Yeah,
being able to help other people because of that experience.
absolutely. And you call that self-accountability.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that I agree with that. And also I just want to add, if you don't want to do that, if you don't want to take life by the balls,
Cool.
that's fine. It really is. Everybody has their own experience and their own journey of life. You know, I'm not here to judge. You know, I have my dad. He wants to sit on the couch and drink, and he wants to watch football, and he wants to gamble on his phone. I'm like, that's fine. I'm gonna love you anyway.
Mm.
And just because you don't have the same journey as I do, and if your life doesn't look the same as mine, I'm like, it's fine. And people get intimidated. I know I get this a lot, right? People get intimidated and they get I find that a lot of people want to tell me how to live my life. And yeah, I just gotta laugh because I'm like, I get it, but I'm not telling anybody else how to live their lives. You know, people come to me and they go, you know, I really like what you're up to. How do you do that? And I'm like, well, you know, if you want my coaching, you're gonna have to invest. You're gonna have to invest because there's a value, number one. And then I even know that why I create agreements in my coaching and in my mentoring is because if people don't agree with the way that I coach them, it's a reminder. It's a reminder they came to me, you know, and it's like if you're coming to me because you like the style and the lifestyle that I have, is because you can see something about your life that you want to change that looks appealing. You know, the way that I live my life looks appealing to you. So I don't ever want people to feel like that they have to do what I'm doing to succeed in life or to have a more fulfilling life, satisfied in life. Nah. I'm all for, you know, actually having people access what's the most fulfilling life for them. Because I know, Jay, your life is very different to mine. My life's very different to yours. You know, friends and family are very different lives than I do. And as long as those people are empowered in life, I'm happy about what they're up to. Yeah, ethically as well. If they're doing things that
yeah. Well, it's yeah, I guess it's the focus and the values of their lives as well. You know, I know a lot of people like people who I know personally, you know, around the same age and stuff like that. They're all focused on financial security and financial freedom. That's a big thing going around, which is awesome. Personally, that's not something I'm worried about at all. Like, obviously, I don't want to be homeless and poor, but is my goal financial freedom? Heck no. My goal is to serve God and to impact people and to create meaningful relationships and to have fun in life. Like, you know, and that's not righting or wronging anyone.
No.
You know, and people can look at me and be like, well, that's stupid. But okay. You know, that's cool. You got to do what honors you.
That's it.
Yeah. And the, you know, the people that resonate with that and want to support you or want to work with you or, you know, can find value in that. Because saying the same thing, like people can be on different paths, but they can still find value in each other. So it's being able to share that and being, owning your life for what it is and for what you're making it.
Absolutely, that self-accountability piece. And, you know, I even like at this age, I don't know if you're experiencing this, but I have a lot of friends and family that early in their early 20s, you know, kind of around my age, they're already having kids, you know, they're getting married and you know, they've either finished uni and they worked for a couple of years and they're having kids, or they're still working really hard and then they party on the weekends. And that's not what my life looks like at all. Especially as an entrepreneur. I party always. Whenever there is an opportunity to party, I'm like, it's down. I'm going, you know, I'm in. And then I'm
our
not
group call just before this.
we had a group call before this, and I was leading a branding session, and we got up and we danced. We danced for a good 5 minutes.
I was in pajamas,
and Jay was in her robe. This is what our life gets to look like every day, though, and that's our choice. You know, and I don't judge that people don't want this kind of lifestyle, because this is the way that I have fun. And my fun is very different to a lot of people's, and I used to be one of those people that would go out drinking. I used to be one of those people that would work my ass off during the week at a hotel, or, I was in hospitality for 11 years. So I'd work my ass off during the week, and then, I'd give the weekend to being drunk and making out with random people and, all of that fun stuff, clubbing and all that. But I still wasn't fulfilled. So for me, it was like the fulfillment was more important than the finance at that point.
Yeah.
And then, now we're even doing our program and we're like, you don't have to be someone who has no money to make a difference anymore. That culture is dying off. So now it's like we get to make a difference, and the value that we creates money, because people want that lifestyle. People want that culture. So you started coaching. You got a coach at 17, and then you started coaching last year.
Yeah.
What's the most fulfilling thing for you? So what, and I don't want you to reveal any clients' names.
Yeah, I just got one straight up.
I really want to know though, what's the most fulfilling thing that's happened?
Okay, first of all, and this isn't to hype myself up or anything like that, but just looking at my Facebook and seeing that I've actually, obviously branded myself as emotional intelligence coach, and, I've got a title page with my face on it and a click here link. Like, I just think, looking at that, I'm like, heck yeah, I did. I'm like, cool.
That's awesome.
But I had this really intimate experience with a one-on-one client. And yeah, it was like, I won't give anyone's name away, but basically, and this is what's beautiful as well, because even when you're a coach to somebody, you can still learn something from them. But we had a really deep talk. We're really getting to the core of stuff. They started crying. I started crying. And then they were like, I'm confident that I can overcome depression. And that wasn't anything that I did, right? I facilitated a space for us to have a conversation, and I gave support and I gave love and strategies. But it's just being able to impact and empower people to look at themselves differently.
Yeah.
Right. And that was just, I think it was just because also we were both crying at the same time. So it was just a real intimate moment. But
that's
but it's just, the impact we have on people. And we don't know, I didn't join this thinking I'm going to have that exact conversation with that person on this day at this time. Like, we don't know the impact that we're going to have on people.
No idea. Yeah, we have no idea. Yeah, and that's another thing that's so super important about being someone who really lives life like it's going to end, because it is. I know that both of us don't say that to be morbid or scare people. It's like, and it's not even talking about what we believe in the reality of death. It's like, no, let's be present to the opportunity of life every moment, because at least I believe that we all have a mission in this lifetime. And I don't think it has anything to do with fulfilling on the mission. I think, and this is going to be very woo-woo for people that are watching. I'm okay with it being woo-woo, by the way. And if you have an opinion about it, put it in the comments. I'd love to hear it. But I do really believe that we are a soul here having a human experience. And the more that I realize that I'm a human being, that my soul has chosen this body, my soul has chosen this time, this place, I've been put on earth in a most beautiful location with a family that totally are just absolutely connected, so blessed. And I have my own struggles, but my struggles are because I'm making a difference, which is great. Whereas before they used to be self-sabotage kind of conversation.
There is a difference.
Yeah, there is a difference. I have problems that matter. And I have big problems that matter because I'm up to big things.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I know that I am present to that my life has a time frame. I don't know what the time frame is. So it's important for me to be present to every moment and not in a state of anxiety, by the way, because it used to be a state of anxiety. But being present to every moment that I am fulfilling on my soul mission each moment when I'm present to the impact that I can make on the planet. Not because of a result that I'm going to produce, but because of who I am and who I'm going to be in that moment. Yeah. And I just love that. I love that we both have that view. Yeah. We have very different, I imagine we probably even have very different beliefs about death, but it doesn't matter. Yeah.
And anxiety and excitement are the same chemical reaction in your body, by the way.
They are.
You know, it is. So you just replace the word around. And you're like, I'm excited. And like I did a post yesterday saying that I was scared. And I was like, because I wrote that a while ago. And I was like, I need to post. I'm going to post this tonight. But then I was like, I'm not even scared. I'm excited. But it's the same thing. It's the same emotion.
Yeah.
And it's so powerful.
I know what you mean by that. Scared and excited, scared and anxiety. So I did have an anxiety disorder for 6 years. And, you know, anyone listening that has experienced that and they hear you saying, oh, yeah, you could just replace anxiety with excitement.
No, I didn't say that. It's the same chemical.
It's the same chemical. We don't experience it that way.
Completely different outlooks. Yeah, definitely. And I guess it's the same, you know, as my sister and I. Same situation. Two completely different outcomes. So, you know, just because I'm like, oh, it's the same chemical. Yeah, we also are made up of the same atoms that make up our bodies, but there's so many different types of bodies out there. You know, I'm not saying, oh, we're the same atoms. You got to have the same body as me.
Clarify it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Because actually people used to say that to me when I had anxiety. You know, some people would be like, oh, you know, that's just actually excitement. Or I would be like, oh, thank you for, you know, being the most condescending twat in the whole universe. You know? I just wanted to have this unleashed reaction. But anyway, ultimately, I just want to summarize what I do. I love to summarize. I did this with Taylor yesterday too, but it's really important to me to summarize everything that I even get for myself in these conversations. And right now I'm really present to the opportunity that life is. And it's an opportunity whether you're 18 years old, whether you're 90 years old, whether you're someone who's come from a family history of violence, separation, even if you're someone who's come from a really amazing family background and doesn't feel like you can relate to anybody suffering. I mean, I hear that a lot too. People want to make a difference and they've come from a really amazing family and they're very gifted and, you know, they have a lot of money and they feel guilt because there's no relatedness to the suffering. So even to those people, there's still an opportunity. And life is still a blessing. And there's always going to be an access for you to be able to make a difference. If you tap into, you know, everything that's happened in your life, your unique vision, because we all have a unique vision, you get to tap into that and use that as your drive, then you can move mountains. And I know that Jaye is someone who's doing that. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing, you know, what actually matters to you.
Thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome. And I want to hear, what did you get out of this conversation? I mean, like, I know that that's what I got, the opportunity of life. From hearing your story, I was like, well, yeah, it doesn't matter where you come from. There's an opportunity of life. So I want to hear what did you get out of the conversation?
I guess, you know, we're all the human experience. We're all human, right? We all have different experiences, different reactions, different perspectives. But when it comes down to it, we're all human and we are capable of whatever we choose to be capable of.
Yes.
You know, and again, there's sensitivity around that word as well, because people who are struggling and hear that are going to be like, no, well, that's not the case. And, you know, again, it's It's being able to reach out for help, or to take little steps, or to own where you're at as well.
Absolutely.
And I just think that there's a beauty in that, and just to be, be used for the human experience, with connecting with others, with being heard and being seen in who you are, and owning your life.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, take ownership of it.
Mm.
Oh, you're incredible, girl. Thank you for
Thanks for
everyone that
having me.
tuned in. And it's okay again if you haven't commented. But I'm going to tag a couple of people below that we mentioned in our conversation. And even if you want to tag, who did you say your first coach was?
Brent.
Yeah, and then you had Heidi. Is it Heidi Goodman?
Elizabeth.
Sorry, I was like, who was it?
Okay.
Yeah, so if you want to tag them, and just, I always like to say, if I've mentioned someone, I like tagging them and be like, just letting you know, I super
I talked about you.
and I talked about you because I just appreciate you, and I got present how you really impacted me, and this is why I'm here right now.
Yeah,
and everything leads to the next thing. So thank you for being such an inspiring young adult, and for being someone out there really creating change, moving mountains, and just devoting your life to this mission.
Thanks. Back at you.
The Core of What Matters will be back tomorrow with Sky Robinson, and that's going to be an epic conversation as well. So tune in for that. But either way, you'll see me every week. So thanks everyone for watching, and have a great day.
Bye.
Bye, people.